Well, it's spring here at Sports Mag, and I got all my peeps in a row.
Laura, stop peeping around. We've got a show to do.
Sports Mag starts right now. Hello and welcome to the spring edition of CU Sports Mag. I'm Laura Kuchkowski and beside me is the lovely Mallory Chris.
Thanks, Laura. Well, we have a great show for you today. It may be getting close to the end of the year, but plenty of Colorado athletic teams are in the throes of competition. Basketball season might not be one of those teams since its season ended over spring break, but we're all curious as to what we can expect in the future from head coach Tad Boyle and his Buffaloes. Sports Mag's Andrew Hobner met with Boyle earlier this week to talk about how Colorado men's basketball is looking to improve during the offseason.
That their leadership on and off the court, there was something lacking. There were guys showing up late consistently to shoot-arounds and guys sitting for halves. Did you get the feeling that a leader needs to step up on this team, or do you feel like there are guys like Josh Scott and X Johnson who just need to have another summer before they can be in that leadership role?
This year's team, without a doubt, was void of leadership. And you mentioned, the being late. You mentioned, not being vocal enough and letting your teammates know that, hey, that's not acceptable. And that didn't happen. Now, Josh Scott, there's no doubt about it, in terms of how he operates his life as a student, as an athlete, as a member of this campus community, there's no better role model than Josh Scott.
You can catch the full interview with Tad Boyle online at cuindependent.com.
Well, at such a large university, it can often feel like football and basketball steal the show from other programs. But we here at Sports Mag know that's not true. There's still plenty of Colorado athletics schedule to keep you sports fans entertained. And Steve Nelson is in studio to give you an inside look at the Buffs and who are in the peak of their season and why fans should still be excited.
What's up, Buff fans? I'm Steve Nelson, and I'm going to answer all your social media questions on this week's edition of Buff Banter. Our first question comes from Miles Morales, and he's asking, now that football and basketball have officially wrapped up, what sports should I watch? That's a great question, Miles. Contrary to popular belief, sports are not winding down. For one, women's tennis is in full swing. They're hovering just above 500 with a record of 10-8. Back in February, they beat CSU in Fort Collins. What more reason do you need to watch them? On top of that, track is also always exciting, and if there's one thing our Buffaloes can consistently do, it's run well. Also, on the field side, keep your eyes on the inhuman strength of Alex Kazarian and Tyler Schultz, and the agility of Pac-12 Athlete of the Week, Aubriana Torres. Furthermore, both lacrosse teams are doing well. Women's lacrosse is at 5-3, and men's lacrosse is currently at 11-14. They both won their last games and hopefully can continue that momentum. I enjoy watching lacrosse. It's very exciting and reminds me a lot of hockey, which I personally love. Go Sharks. On top of that, there's golf and a whole myriad of club sports like baseball, crew, hockey, rugby, water polo, wrestling, volleyball, diving, pretty much anything you could want. Our next question comes from Colin Davidson, and he asks, what do you think about the home and homes with Texas A&M and TCU? Well, Colin, I'm pretty excited to see the Buffaloes taking the gridiron against both teams. Not only will it revive the old rivalry with the Aggies from the Big 12 days, but it will also give the Buffaloes some much-needed exposure. Considering A&M is in the SEC and TCU is in the Big 12, some wins would be amazing for both the program and the Pac-12 as a whole. But it's high risk, high reward. A severe loss is the last thing our Buffaloes need. Well, that's all the time we have for today. If you have any questions you want us to answer on the air, find us on Facebook or tweet us at CU Sports Mag. I'm Steve Nelson for Buff Banter. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Steve. If you're interested in supporting the Buffs, visit cubuffs.com for more information on the remaining tennis and track and field meets, as well as lacrosse games. Admission to any of these events is free, so go out and cheer on your Buffs.
Thursday morning, a number of student athletes were honored for their work in the classroom. Athletic Director Rick George honored several teams. For the honor of combined excellence in their craft and in the classroom, the women's ski team was awarded after taking home the national championship. Women's cross country was honored as the team whose GPA increased the most in the past year. And the women's tennis team was honored for the most improved academic team this semester. Senior Malcolm Creer gave the closing remarks thanking his mother and everyone who has gotten him to this point.
But my dream didn't. The dream was to achieve to excel for my mother. So as I achieved and as I picked myself up from the bottom, I kind of started focusing on my future career. As I battled my way back on the field, it was hard for me as I had to compete for a job, but it gave me an opportunity to still say I can still play football. But
while some Buffs were recognized for their achievements in the classroom, 2 others were honored for their achievements on the playing field. The University of Colorado Athletic Department honored Esther Lee of the women's golf team and Alex Kazarian of the track and field team as the Athletes of the Week. Lee led the Buffs to a second-place finish in the Louisiana State University Tiger Golf Classic with her 4-match wins. Kazarian received the honor after his strong performance at the Fum-McGraw Quadrangular. The junior finished 3rd in the hammer throw, 5th in the shot put, and 6th in the discus. Speaking of accolades, track and field junior Aubriana Torres was named the Pac-12 Conference Women's Field Athlete of the Week. The honor came after Torres scored 5,321 points in the Texas Relays Heptathlon event. Her score currently leads the league and is 8th in the NCAA Division I marks. The heptathlon includes 100-meter hurdles, high jump, shot put, long jump, javelin, and finally the 200 and 800-meter run. Torres' shot put throw of 44 feet and 1/2 inch is current Colorado heptathlon record.
Torres' performance inspired all of us here at Sports Mag to dig deep into the University of Colorado record books to find the most head-scratching of trivia questions. Get out your smartphone, open up your laptop, flip open your encyclopedia if you're into that, because this week we've got a doozy. So in honor of Aubriana Torres, we're asking, who holds the record for women's heptathlon? Is it A, Carol Hood, B, Aubriana Torres, C, Pam Owen, or D, Annette Tenander? Tweet your best guesses to @CUSportsMag and we'll get you the answer later on in the show. The Rocky Mountain Intercollegiate Ski Association named CU Nordic squad coach Bruce Cranmer the Nordic Coach of the Year award and named senior Rune Odegaard the Men's Nordic Athlete of the Year for the 2015 season. Both of Cranmer's men's and women's teams ended their seasons at the top of the list with more points than any other Nordic team in the regular seasons and at the RIMSA and NCAA championships. Senior Rune Odegaard had the most dominant career by a men's skier in CU program history after his 2015 season. This season, he won 5 races and added 11 podium appearances, finishing his career with 19 race victories and 36 podium appearances. He was a 7-time All-American and a 5-time RIMSA individual champion, leaving him well worthy of this honor.
Well, don't dig into that candy just yet, because after the break, we have an update on the Colorado Club men's lacrosse team season so far.
And one of our own has an inside look at the fight that some Colorado athletes are embroiled in with the school. Stay tuned.
We won 24 NCAA championships. sent 18 NASA astronauts into space, inspired 4 Nobel laureates, unlocked the genetic secrets of cancer in a place that averages over 300 days of sunshine a year, ranks as America's smartest and healthiest city, and is home to the mightiest mascot in college sports. If you didn't know what the University of Colorado is all about, now you do.
About to run into trouble again.
Hey, Bobo, where's your video game? In here. Well, look at this. Uh-oh, it's my dad's. You want to hold it? What'll I do?
If you get my new comic activity book, More Adventures with Scruff, you'll find out what you can do about bullies and guns. And you'll see lots of games.
Cool.
For your free copy of my new comic activity book, just write Scruff McGruff, Chicago, Illinois, 60652, and help take a bite out of crime.
I want it.
You know trouble can start when the clock hits 3. When there's no place after school for kids to be. Nothing to do but hanging on city streets. When mom and dad are working to make ends meet. Now it's time to beat the street.
With after-school programs, city kids aren't left alone and vulnerable. They keep on learning between 3 and 6, but these programs need your support. Join with the Urban League to keep them going. Call now, because it's
time to beat the street.
Members of the Pac-12 athletics at the University of Colorado are often only thought of on the NCAA 1 division scale.
However, CU is also home to over 30 club sports, all of which strive to represent the Buffaloes in the classroom and on the playing field.
But a recent battle with campus administration has left these club athletes wondering where they stand in the eyes of the university. SportsMag's Joe Paris has the story.
On a chilly Tuesday morning, both men's and women's University of Colorado crew teams are already in the water at 6 a.m. These dedicated student athletes practice 6 days a week while also having to balance schoolwork, employment, and life in general. You wouldn't know by looking, but the CU crew team is actually one of 32 club sports teams at the University of Colorado that competes at a very high level on the national scene.
Whether it's on the ice or on the field, or on the water, these student athletes strive to represent the University of Colorado and compete as Buffs.
Some campus administrators, however, believe that the club sports are too easily confused with the NCAA Division I programs on campus and want to label club athletes in a different category. The university is trying to force club teams to add the title club to all the team's jerseys and apparel. Forcing the teams to include the title club, however, has most of the 1,500 club student athletes upset over the reality that this title demeans the efforts and dedication that they put forward simply trying to represent the university.
I used to row D1 before I transferred, and I can fully attest that we work just as hard.
The issue continues to gain traction on campus as a CUSG legislative session was dedicated Thursday night to giving the club athletes a platform to testify their dedications to the school and the sport they love, while also trying to make the university understand that this issue is important to them and deserves a conversation, not a unilateral decision.
We're really student athletes. I mean, I'm in the library every single day trying to get all my homework done before lacrosse starts. I'm even in the library after our 6 a.m. lift. And to just call us a club sport really doesn't show who we really are. We came here to study. I'm a math major, econ major, but I'm also playing lacrosse because that's what I love to do.
After Thursday's meeting, the administration has agreed to meet with all 31 clubs individually to discuss how to best move forward with the rebranding issue. Reporting in Boulder, I'm Joe Paris, CU SportsMag.
We will be giving you updates as this story develops over the next couple of weeks.
This debate is causing many around the campus to question the label of a club versus a Division I athlete. Brock Anderson and Alec Moylan are in studio today to share their opinions regarding the debate.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of Double Team. I'm Brock Anderson and sitting beside me is Alec Moylan. Now you guys all just saw Joe Paris talking about the club sports and their battle with the athletic department over the use of the Ralphie logo. We brought in Alec today. What does this mean for everybody, and what's going on with this?
I mean, Brock, we have 1,500 club athletes compared to around 400 Division I student athletes. That's about 4 times more. And the club athletes have brought 61 national championships to the university. They've represented the university well, and I think they deserve to be represented with the logo exactly the way a Division I athlete does.
I agree with you in terms of the logo. It's already, it was in place for a long time, and they've just talked about changing it a little bit. But what about throwing a club, slapping a club right on top of it, or not necessarily on top of the logo, but right in front of each team, because that's what they are. They're a club team. They aren't a Division I team that's recruited. They're not playing, the Kentucky basketballs of the world, the USC footballs of the world. They're playing other club teams that are just students rather than student athletes.
Brock, I mean, they're going to go to an event, and other schools are going to have their logos there without club. And our athletes are going to have club on there. And what is that going to say? It's going to say that our school doesn't care about them at least as much as the other schools, or just doesn't support them. And no club athlete that pays a lot of money to go to the school and pays a lot of money to be in their club deserves to be not supported by their university.
Support of the university, I think that's really debatable, though. I mean, if you look at it, they're still providing them licensing of this Ralphie logo, at least with my idea. They're allowing them to play with the colors and for CU, which is why they're there in the first place, is to play for CU. But they're not recruited. They're not playing these big-time athletes in these other huge schools.
Brock, the Division I athletes are treated as royalty. And I mean, club athletes, they put their blood, sweat, and tears into their sport too. They go to practice multiple times a week. They pay a lot of money. They put so much into their craft. And I just don't think that they deserve to not have that same logo on their chest.
61 national championships by these club teams. Don't get me wrong, that's a tremendous number. Way higher than probably the total of the Division I teams. But the Division I ones are more impressive, aren't they? 20 Division I ski championships. Wouldn't that be more impressive than 35 ski club championships? Because it's an NCAA championship.
I mean, you're weighing things by how the public views them. And I don't think that's about popularity. I don't think you can measure things by popularity and about Division I, Division II, club. It's about each individual person being weighed and represented in the same way. And I think that as long as you're a student at this university, you should have the same representation.
But it is about money, and that's the point. We just built facilities short on fundraising. Money is what makes the world go round. The alumni are not going to be like, oh, what did the men's lacrosse team do today? They're going to wonder, oh, what did the football team do today? These Division I athletes.
And that's exactly the point. I don't think that a club athlete will be able to be represented in a bad way because they're not in the news. They're not in the daily camera. They're not in the spotlight. And I just don't think that it's going to represent the brand in a bad way.
Absolutely. Well, obviously, he has the opinion that it's not good, and I think that it's better to not have the logo, but it's a debate for another time. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, guys. Sports Mag will be keeping up with the latest news on this story and how any outcome will affect the university in the future. Tune in next week to find out how the first round of meetings between individual club teams and the administration went.
Speaking of Colorado club teams, the Colorado men's MCLA lacrosse team turned around its string of losses with a win against Davenport University this week. The score was 14-10 with Colin McCleveen leading the Buffs with 5 points of his own. The team was indeed in need of a win after sustaining 3 consecutive losses to Grand Canyon University, Chapman, and Michigan State. The 3 losses interrupted the Buffs' 10-game win streak, but they are hoping to carry the momentum from their most recent win into their upcoming game against Westminster College on April 9th. Coming up after the break, we'll give you a look at how our Colorado volleyball team is keeping busy this spring.
And we've got the inside scoop on a few Colorado football players who may have gotten in a little too deep with the law. Uh-oh. Don't put down that remote.
The future is open for business, so step right in and create something inspiring. Be motivated, be compelled, be excited, be united, to think deeper and see farther. On the field, in the lab, above the earth, beside great minds. Create something that doesn't exist and question what does. You can, you will lead, exceed at the University of Colorado.
Inside each of us, there's a spark. To push, to challenge, to lead, and create ideas that change everything. Reimagine, reinvent, rewrite the way you see the world. Achieve the unthinkable, solve the unsolvable, and create the unimaginable. Down the court, in the lab, above the earth, beside great minds, you can, you will ignite, unleash, excel at the University of Colorado.
Just a second.
This is,
We
I'm
don't
a
want to
good
be.
student.
We
Why-
don't want
why
to
are
be
you
at
guys
your party
busting me?
any more than you want us here.
What could we have done to avoid this?
Keep the noise down so no one complains.
Hey, guys, keep it down. The neighbors are complaining.
Make sure anyone drinking alcohol is at least 21.
You sure you're old enough?
And finally, make sure that you don't have too many people.
Man, that would have been easy. I wish I had known the rules. Now you know. Avoid trouble. Know the rules.
We want to see our children succeed. But setting easy goals for our kids creates the toughest obstacle they'll ever face. Because succeeding in the real world isn't easy. Help the effort to raise standards in America's public schools. Call 1-800-96-PROMISE.
While many were tanning on the beach or skiing in the mountains, the University of Colorado women's soccer team was an ocean away competing against Europe's best. The Buffaloes flew to Spain last week to train and scrimmage 3 professional teams in the top division of Spanish women's soccer. Among the teams they faced were Rayo Vallecano and FC Barcelona. Both teams combined for 5 of the last 6 Primera Division titles. The team returned to Boulder for their spring schedule, which includes hosting youth camps as well as scrimmaging other schools in the area.
Last night marked the official start of spring volleyball for Liz Kritza and her Buffaloes as the team hosted regional rival Colorado State in the Coors Event Center. That match served as a warm-up for the Buffs, who will travel to the University of Northern Colorado in Greeley on Saturday for a 16-team tournament. The Buffs spent the last few weeks in full team practices and spent time working with the strength and conditioning coach. Colorado ended its 2014 season ranked 21st in the AVCA Division I coaches poll after logging a 20-14 overall record. The volleyball team is also busy hosting 2 clinics this spring. The first was held last night prior to the Colorado State match in the Coors Event Center. The second clinic will be held on April 16th prior to the Buffs match against the University of Northern Colorado from 4 to 6 p.m. in the upper gym of the CEC. The clinics are open to kids currently enrolled in 8th grade or below. The scrimmage following the clinic is free and open to the public, and clinic participants are strongly encouraged to attend.
Colorado's women's basketball head coach Linda Lappy will be serving as the March for Babies ambassador this year. March for Babies is the largest fundraiser for March of Dimes and helps fund life-saving research for babies that are born premature or with birth defects. Last year, under Lappy's leadership, Boulder County raised over $100,000 for the cause. The walk will be held on Saturday, April 5th on the Duane Physics lawn of CU Boulder's campus. Go to marchforbabies.org to sign on for the walk or to donate to Coach Lappy's team.
The Buffs lacrosse team hosts the ever-generous Stanford Cardinal on Sunday at noon. Colorado finished up non-conference play with a 10-goal win over UMass Lowell. It was the Buffs' 5th victory of the season, but Stanford will prove to be a tough test. The Cardinal was shocked for its second loss by Cornell on Tuesday. Stanford had outscored opponents 98-65 during its first 6 games, netting 5 wins. Look for Jonah Fusco to continue her dominance this season for the Buffs and add to her 24 goals this season.
Well, the recruiting warpath for the upcoming football season might be over, but Colorado has added another name to the 2015 roster, JT Bale. Bale will join the program as an additional long snapper. The high school senior will come from Boulder from his California high school with experience in the roles of linebacker, tight end, and in addition to long snapper. The 6'3", 210-pounder accepted an offer from Coach McIntyre and will likely redshirt in 2015 while senior Wyatt Tucker Smith handles the long snapping duties. 3 Colorado football players who faced charges in connection with a fight appeared in court on Wednesday. After the initial hearing, it is reported that the players will not be officially charged until April 17th. Defensive lineman Josh Tupou was arrested on suspicion of assault for his alleged role in a fight on the Hill on Valentine's Day. Tupou is expected to be charged with second-degree assault, third-degree assault, criminal mischief, reckless endangerment, and trespassing. Linebacker Jaleel Awini and wide receiver Donovan Lee also face misdemeanor charges in relation to the fight.
After the break, we'll finally get you the answer to that trivia question we all know you've been sweating over.
And we're going to turn up the heat on this week's edition of Rapid Fire. Watch out, because it's getting steamy in here.
Hey everyone, Rapid Fire's... Hold on. Rapid Fire's coming up right after the break, so stay tuned.
Starving. What's for breakfast?
Guten Tag!
Johannes, Ross!
I bring you arts-enriched Raisinblams, fortified with increased test scores and creative problem-solving skills.
It's good!
And good for you.
Bobby? Susie?
Don't worry, that's just the power of the arts!
Feed your kids the arts. For 10 simple ways to learn how, visit AmericansForTheArts.org.
Know what she say?
She said whatever.
No, she says that all the time.
What's that?
Hello? I'm on the phone. Mom, I'm on the phone! Hello? I'm on the phone.
Who's this? It's me. I'm on the phone. Mom.
Oh, you're on the phone. All right. Sorry. Anyway.
Who are you talking to? Kelly?
Mom.
All right.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who would love to put up with you.
This house was almost saved from a fire that was almost put out by neighbors who almost volunteered. As generous a nation as we are, sometimes instead of giving, we almost give. But almost giving is the same as not giving at all.
Oh, those boys are much too much. Those boys are much too much. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We're going to beat them and bust them. Beat them.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life.
Let's get a little bit rowdy. R-O-W-D-Y.
Take time to be a dad
One more
today.
time. Oh, those boys are much too much. Those boys.
Well, it's time for the hottest segment in college sports, Rapid Fire, with our very own Dinora Avendano Correa.
Hello, Buff fans. I am Dinora Avendano Curiel and bringing you up to the latest on Buff Sports. So, are you ready? Get set. Let's go. The race begins with the track and field team heading to the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs for the all-day multis relay competition this Saturday, April 4th. What a better way to start off your weekend than a long drive to support your CU Buffs. But don't worry if you cannot make it, because also this Saturday, the other half of the track and field team will be in California to compete in the all-day Stanford Invitational. So make sure to grab your friends and check them out. Then we finally come back to the heart of Boulder, where the women's lacrosse team will face Stanford at 12 p.m. The game will be broadcasted on the Pac-12 networks. And finally, the women's tennis team will face number 4 UCLA at 12:30 p.m. on Friday, April 10th. The key for the team is going to be to continue their momentum, maintain those wins. Unfortunately, that is all the time I have with you today. Don't forget to go out and support your CU Buffs. Back to you guys at the desk.
It's finally that time in our show where we get you the answer to that trivia question we asked you earlier. Just to refresh your memory, we asked, who holds the school record for women's heptathlon? A. Carol Hood, B. Brianna Torres, C. Pam Owen, or D. Annette Tanander? A moment of silence to build anticipation. And the answer is Annette Tanander. In 1983, Annette scored 5,863 points at a meet in Houston, Texas. Way to go, Annette, setting the bar for our fellow Buffs today.
Well, it's been quite a fun show here at Sports Mag.
And it's about to be a fun and beautiful spring weekend for Buff fans to enjoy. That's all the time we have today. I'm Mallory Chris with Laura Kuchkowski. See you next week, sports fans.
Enjoy your peeps.